Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here in June. A very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. At this moment in time, it's Monday right now, and I'm recording Tuesday's edition of the dceu Daily right now on Monday afternoon. At this moment in time, I have now got 700 subscribers. That means 700 of you crazy people have subscribed to my channel. And I absolutely want to thank you. Every single one of you means so much to me. No marketing, no buying of fake subscribers. As I've not put any money into this channel apart from buying this Lenovo laptop. So I'm so grateful and so proud of the channel and the people who support it. So there's 300 to go till 1,000 subscribers. I cannot do a live video until I have 1,000 subscribers. So when I get 1,000 subscribers, we are going to do a celebration live stream like you've never seen before. But that's for the future. Right now, it's Tuesday's dceu Daily. And today I want to talk about the Midnight Edge video saying that the Snyder Cut exists, but why? You will never see it. A very triggering title, I think we can all agree. So we are going to take a listen to this video from Midnight Edge, because Midnight Edge fancy themselves as people who have got an ear roll, two ear rolls within the entertainment industry, within Hollywood. They think they know facts. They think they are delivering something that we don't know. And sometimes they're dead right, and sometimes they're dead wrong. I like them. They're a great YouTube channel. But if I feel they're throwing blarney at us over this, then I will absolutely say so. I think the Snyder Cut is the topic of today at the moment. It's the topic everyone's talking about. And I think they just did this to get some clicks. But let's see what it's all about. And by the way, I haven't actually watched or listened to this yet. So we're experiencing this together. So that's pretty special if you ask me.
Guest star Kevin Smith revealed that there is indeed a Snyder Cut of Justice League, and that in his opinion, it should be released to the public, which I can tell you won't happen anytime soon. The topic is making headlines again though, so in this editorial, I will begin by briefly reiterating the background for and current state of the Snyder Cut, before moving on to the main topic, which is why Warner don't want to release the Snyder Cut, despite how profitable doing so might be, and what it would take for them to change their minds. Before that though, let me apologize for the graphical presentation of this video not being up to usual Midnight Edge standards. That would be because Tom, who usually does the flashy videos, is currently in Vegas, so we'll just have to make it you. Visuals aside, if you do like the manner in which the information is conveyed though, then please help share it, and subscribe and smash that bell if you're new here. We've covered the details at great length before, but to quickly reiterate, Zack Snyder was originally commissioned to make not just one, but two Justice League movies following Batman v Superman. Because Batman v Superman was assumed to be $1 billion grossing beloved crowd pleaser. It wasn't. On the contrary, the reception was horrible, and since both planned Justice League movies were cut from the same cloth as it, Warner freaked out a little bit. Problem was that by the time they knew Batman v Superman was a dud with audiences, Justice League was just a couple of weeks away from filming. Rather than firing Snyder and pushing filming back at such an advanced state, something which would have been extraordinarily expensive, Warner made the decision to keep Snyder and to film as scheduled, but to retool the movie into something else on the fly. First, the story was truncated from 2 movies into 1. This is important because Snyder's original vision was compromised already there. Then Snyder was demoted more and more, and his vision was likewise compromised more and more, as an ever longer line of chefs were brought into the kitchen to oversee production. First, Ben Affleck was made executive producer and placed above Snyder. Then, John Burke and Jeff Johns were brought in as producers, de facto replacing Snyder as showrunner for DC on film. Under their watch, Joss Whedon was brought in to rewrite the movie. Then, after a personal tragedy in Snyder's close family, Warner and DC took the opportunity to force him out, under the pretense that Snyder stepped back from production to be with his family, all while Whedon took over directing duties and redid the movie. In no small part due to Warner's refusal to push the movie back, so Kevin Tsujihara could get his bonus. The finished Justice League was a bomb that didn't work out for anyone involved. So, where does the mythical Snyder Cut fit into all of this? The Snyder Cut is the work print of the movie that Snyder handed into the studio after the initial principal photography, and from what I've been told, after the first round of reshoots. It should be noted that it doesn't represent his original vision, which, as you will recall, was 2 movies. The story had already been truncated into 1. Furthermore, notes from all the other chefs in the proverbial Warner kitchen had also been incorporated. But there was nothing of Joss Whedon yet. In fact, it was this very work print which led the powers that be to decide that they needed to bring in Joss Whedon, then hot off the Avengers, to retool the movie. As such, the pre-Whedon cut might be a more appropriate name than the Snyder Cut, as Snyder's original vision was never filmed. However, this work print is nonetheless...
Right. First of all, he said one false thing. And as you can see, I was nodding my head and agreeing with him with a lot of things he said. I laughed when he said, kind of, where is this mythical Snyder Cut? It's not mythical, it's real, mate. And now, in terms of the Snyder Cut, Zack Snyder has pretty much made it abundantly clear that the Snyder Cut, his cut of Justice League, which is 90% complete, by the way, we all know that, is his vision. But what this guy is alluding to is that Zack and Chris Terrio did an original draft that Warner Brothers kind of said, no, you've got to go back. This is far too dark. Do it again. And even Zack said after the rejection we got from the audience, maybe that's a great point. So even Zack agreed that his original vision maybe had to be watered down just slightly. So they did a second draft, and then Warner Brothers goes, okay, go. So they shot the entire movie. The movie is 90% complete in terms of CG and everything else you need to complete a movie. Editing, yada, yada, yada. This is absolutely Zack's vision. Now, saying that this has got to be called the pre-Joss Whedon cut rather than the Snyder cut is bollocks. Also, he's saying that Ben Affleck was made executive producer. Zack was also executive producer, by the way. And Zack and Chris Terrio wrote this movie, the Snyder Cut. So he's trying to say that, Ben Affleck was higher than him, was given more responsibility via getting the executive producer. But credit. But at the end of the day, Zack was either a producer or an executive producer. But we've spoken about this before. Too many cooks spoil the broth. And this is what happened with the DCEU from day one, because even though John Berg and Jeff Johns weren't officially producers on Man of Steel or Batman, I think he was on Batman v Superman, I can't remember, but definitely on Man of Steel, Jeff Johns had very, very little responsibility. He was there. He was voicing his opinion and disapproval with what was going on. That was his opinion as a comic book man. But to say that Ben Affleck had more superiority than Zack Snyder, I think that's a bit below the belt and not true.
Less as close as you can get to it. According to Josh Garza at RealAnarchy.com, the Snyder Cut is 214 minutes long. Of these 3.5 hours, Garza estimates that about 1 hour was recycled for use in Joss Whedon's theatrically released Justice League. So the 2 versions of the movie should be very different indeed. As we've reported before, and as Kevin Smith now confirmed, the Snyder Cut as it currently stands is a work print, meaning the effects are nowhere near done. There is loads of green screen footage and previs in it. It hasn't been color timed, and there is mostly temp music. Completing it would cost tens of millions of dollars still. But Kevin Smith wasn't suggesting completing it. He was suggesting that Warner just release it as is, as a work print, and that those interested in it will be smart enough to see where Snyder was going with it. Doing so would cost the studio hardly anything, and it would probably net them a nice little profit by the end of the day. But I still don't think they will do it, and for largely the same reason they won't put in the money.
Everyone needs to forget about this work print idea from Kevin Smith. It isn't happening. It isn't happening. It will never happen. It's not something personally I want to see. As a filmmaker, as a director, and as an actor and a writer myself, I wouldn't want my work released as a work print. That's shit. I mean, we talk about Zack Snyder's no compromise. Well, I'm saying no compromise to a work print. I want to see a completed movie. Now, we know the film's 90% complete, so there may be some green screen stuff. There may be some temporary music there. I don't know. All I know is this film is nearly complete, and it would only take Zack Snyder to come back, to edit his film, to put music over it, to get Junkie back, to do the VFX. Now, that may take 3 or 4 months, whatever it takes. Tens of millions. What does that mean? It's going to cost tens of millions. Does that mean it's not going to be the 40 million plus that John Aaron Garza was talking about? If a film is 90% complete, how could it take 40 million? Nobody knows how much it's going to cost. And even this guy on Midnight's Edge doesn't know that it's just a work print. Nobody knows that. Even Kevin Smith, who's come out and kind of said, ooh, it exists. Yes, Kevin, we know it exists. That's old news. Zack told us himself. So why should we believe you over him that it's just a work print? This film is nearly complete. It would only take 2 or 3 months for Zack to complete this movie and to get the music on it. At the end of the day, this film is easy to release in completed form. So I absolutely don't want to see a work print. But you comment down below and we'll discuss the work print idea. But I am not up for that whatsoever.
To complete it. Justice League was a disaster for Warner and DC. It toppled not just one, but 2 regimes running DC on film. While filming, it toppled Zack Snyder himself and his roadmap for the franchise. But upon release, it also toppled Snyder's replacements, John Burke and Jeff Johns, as well as their future plans for DC on film. Shazam was the final movie greenlit on their watch. We are currently on the 3rd regime, the Walter Hamada regime, and due to changes at the corporate level and Warner's recent deal with Bad Robot, it is not outside the realm of possibility that more changes may be forthcoming. But let's assume the Hamada regime continues. The first movie greenlit by him was the upcoming Joker movie, and every subsequent DC movie is also greenlit by him. Hamada will want to establish his own brand of and his own direction for DC on film. That's not unique to him, by the way. Anyone in charge of DC would feel the same. But this week, that just so happens to be Hamada. Anyway, it is in his interest that the public follow and be won over by his movies, so the DC brand confidence can be rebuilt, or rather, be built for the first time as far as modern moviegoers are concerned. The last thing he would want to do is undercut any momentum to that end by suddenly digging up the corpse of Snyder's Justice League back up again. Whether a finished movie or a work print, releasing it would be tantamount to releasing a competing product to his own. It doesn't matter that there may be some...
Right, I don't believe Walter Hamada sees it like that. I don't think Walter Hamada's saying, if we release this film, it takes the focus away from what I'm doing. You release this film, it makes some money, and you show the public that you're listening. And I actually believe that the Snyder Cut version of Justice League is not that different. I honestly believe that. It's a long movie, 2.5 hours, if you take away the kind of content that they've already used within Joss Whedon's cut. But I don't think it's that different. Yeah, you'll see Dark Side, or that's what we've been told. You'll see different aspects. It's a more complete movie. It's going to make more sense. It's going to look like a Snyder DCEU movie, but I don't think they're that different. There's lots of reasons why they may not want to release it. they may not want to hark back to the Snyder regime. You know, at the end of the day, they've made $1 billion out of Aquaman. Shazam did well. The Joker movie is looking like it's going to win the Venice Film Festival. So everything is on a good road. But at the end of the day, all you're doing by releasing this film is showing people what might have been. Now, I believe wholeheartedly no one's going to watch this film, apart from the die-hard Snyder fans, and say, oh yeah, if only Zack was still involved. No one from the mainstream audience. People are just going to see the same issues they saw all along with Batman v Superman and Man of Steel. Nothing gets hurt, nothing, right, by releasing this movie completed.
Limited profit in it. That profit won't be big enough to justify stealing any thunder from his movies. Because it's his movies that represent the future for DC on film. Consider if they did release the Snyder Cut. That might even cause some fans to begin second-guessing the direction Warner has taken DC in since the release of the Whedon Cut. From Warner's point of view, that is a genie best left in the bottle. Case in point, the aforementioned John Garza at Real Anarchy has previously reported that Warner's new owner, AT&T, has no intention of bringing back any Snyder Cut. And not only that, the instruction to Warner's customer service is that whenever someone calls asking about the Snyder Cut, they are to prat along, play dumb, tell them what they want to hear, and then file as a cranky call, hoping that the fans will continue to fight between themselves over other matters, and that demand for the Snyder Cut will eventually die out. So, since it's not about money, is there any way we will ever be able to see the Snyder Cut? In my opinion, yes, there is one way. As established, the primary reason why they don't want to bring out the Snyder Cut at this stage is because it represents a by now defunct iteration of DC on film, but one which may still undercut the efforts of establishing a DC brand that audiences respond to with the same amount of goodwill they have towards the Marvel brand. Only when they are successful in that, when audiences intrinsically trust that going to see a DC movie means having a good time, revisiting a recurring cast and recurring set of storylines they are invested in. Only then will releasing the Snyder Cut start to look like something potentially lucrative, rather than the potential foot bullet it looks like right now. So, do you think we'll ever see the Snyder Cut?
Well, it's a very interesting video. First time I've actually listened to it or watched it, by the way. Some things I agree with, some things I don't. So what about his point that they'll never release the Snyder Cut because it just doesn't help what they're planning for the future? That it reminds the mainstream audience of what they rejected. It's an interesting point. I'm not going to dismiss that. But look, we don't know. Right now, we're still fighting to release the Snyder Cut. We want to see that film. Hopefully, we can see that film. But look, this article, this video, and all the articles out there saying you'll never see the Snyder Cut, it's all well and good. Don't stop fighting. Keep on fighting for the Snyder Cut, and you never know what can happen. I believe releasing this film hurts no one. It's just for the fans who appreciated the Snyderverse. That's it. You release it, it's there, everyone moves on, everyone looks forward to what Walter Hamada is planning. And that's the end of it. It doesn't hurt anything. It's dumb thinking. I don't know if Warner Brothers are going to release the Snyder Cut anytime soon. But I think with the mainstream attention from mainstream media, this drive to release this film is getting the heat around it, the attention around it. We must carry on. We must carry on with the next plan, which is to write a bunch of letters with Snyder dollars, which is a great idea, by the way, and send them to the new CEO, Adam Sarnoff. Do it. Do it. Now, the thing about people ringing up AT&T and then saying just nod your head and agree with them and just label it as a crank call. That's all well and good, but it doesn't matter. We are not going to give up doing what we want to do. I'm fully supportive of the future that Walter Hamada is planning. It's not about that. It's not about bringing Zack Snyder back. That ship has sailed. Whether we want to hear that or not, it's about getting this film released on streaming, on DVD, Blu-ray and 4K, or in the cinemas. But it will never be released in cinemas unless they start to see that even the mainstream cinema goers want to see this film. And I think eventually we keep on pushing this. More and more people are going to be not turned around by what Zack Snyder did, but understand how he was treated was so bad, and thinking a piece of curiousness. What is this film? Is it different to the original Justice League? I want to see this actually. Once this happens, then Warner Brothers truly have a problem, and they'll have no choice but to release it. There have been so many movements in the world that have been labelled as underdogs, that have had no chance of winning. I believe this movement can win. We can see the Snyder Cut. We can rewatch it and binge it into our heart's content. We will have that opportunity. All we have to do is keep on fighting and don't let videos like this detract you. We know so many things now, but what we don't know, of course, we know that John Berg and Jeff Johns had a plan. Midnight's Edge is right about them kind of pushing Zack out. So what was the plan? Well, we saw from Joss Whedon's cut of Justice League a race between the Flash and Superman in a post-credit scene. And also we saw Deathstroke and Lex Luthor just before the end of the credits. I think these are the two of the best post-credit scenes I have ever seen. I thought they were so good, and I was really excited by them. And what a shame, because even though most Snyder fans don't like Jeff Johns and John Berg and what they did to Zack, ultimately there was a little good plan in place. And even though Jeff Johns was the one who ordered the Shazam movie, he had nothing to do with it. And it's certainly from the New Line Cinema Walter Hamada camp. Otherwise, David F. Sandberg would never have got the gig. He got the gig because he's part of that kind of unit of filmmakers. And so far, so good. James Wan, David F. Sandberg have done a really, really good job with the Walter Hamada era. And I'm excited to see what Walter is planning for the future. Very excited. It's very different to what Zack had planned, but I am excited about it. But at the end of the day, that has no effect on releasing the Snyder Cut. So keep on pushing, keep on talking, keep on hashtagging, keep on getting other people involved, and let's see where this can take us.